Hi, good morning everyone. My name is Nicole and my PowerPoint presentation is on Chapter 20, the European Middle Ages, 800 to 1500. The European Middle Ages occurred after the fall of the Roman Empire and before the Great Renaissance. It was a time of great resurgence as the country was able to bring itself back to life. The countries that were a part of Europe around the time of the Middle Ages were Hungary, Portugal, Germany, France, England, and Spain. They were also some of the countries which gained independence from the Western Roman Empire. The Hundred-Year War lasted from 1337 to 1453. It was between England and France. There were three major battles. The first one being the Battle of Crécy in 1346, where English archers effectively used their new longbows against the French. The second one was the Battle of Poitiers in 1356, where the English captured the French king and held him for ransom. And the last one was the Battle of Agincourt in 1415, where the English routed the discouraged French a third time, but could not coerce a settlement. The war ended in 1453, and it signaled the coming of modern gunpowder warfare, which we'll talk about in the next slide. Weaponry. The end of the Hundred-Year War ended the chivalric ideals of combat in Europe. It sparked a military revolution. By using the longbow and the cannon, it allowed either side to strike their opponents from a distance. It was also a social leveler. No longer were heavily armored horsemen the decisive weapon in battle. Commoners were able to engage in combat using the longbows to attack mounted knights from afar. At the time of the Middle Ages, they had a monarchical form of government. The class system included peasants and serfs at the bottom. Above them were the knights, and lords and ladies above them, and at the very top were the kings and queens. Around the time of the Middle Ages, we also start seeing the formation of states. In 1066, William of Normandy, aka William the Conqueror, invaded England. He also created what is called the Domesday Book in 1086 to 1087, which was a thorough and detailed census in England that was used for tax purposes. Then in the 12th century, England possessed all earmarks of a modern state. It had a core of royal officials, a system of courts, laws that were more or less uniform from one end of the kingdom to the other, a royal army, and a national currency issued by the royal treasury. Next, France followed suit, and the outline of state was established in 1300. Then, finally, in the 19th century, the state of Germany was created. 11th century Europe saw an economic revival, all thanks to higher agriculture production, increased trade, and a peaceful environment. Two laws allowed for that peaceful environment to exist. The Peace of God, which stated that non-combatants such as women, merchants, peasants, and the clergy were to be protected from violence. The Truce of God forbade fighting on Sundays and all holy feast days. As stated in my previous slide, there was a higher production of agriculture, thanks in part to the improved iron-tip plow, the introduction of the padded horse collar from Asia, which distributed a load to allow a horse to pull a much heavier burden, and the systematic use of animal manure for fertilizer. And then in the event they did not have animal manure for fertilizer, they used a system called a fallow, which was when the certain piece of land was left unsown so that it could rejuvenate itself and be ready to harvest by the next season. The Roman Catholic Church was the prevailing church at the time. Their priests were very important to the community, and church was the heart of community life. Those who prayed for others were considered to be absolutely essential. Those people included the clergymen, the monks, and the nuns. There was also a wide belief in purgatory. They believed in it so much that they remembered the church in their wills. They made sure the masses would be said for their souls in purgatory, and that way it will ensure a route to heaven. So for my 21st century slide, I chose the town of Warren Percy. So Warren Percy was first excavated in 1950, and it is one of the best known medieval village sites in Britain. Today, it is a tourist site and it's very well preserved. And people can go in and they can see or get a glimpse of what life was like in the Middle Ages. So if you're ever in England and want to check out historical sites like Warren Percy, you should go. So that's all for my presentation. Thank you very much. Have a good day.